Young LaFlame here in Sicko Mode. Today's segment is, as I said, Sicko Mode, but that is the only Travis Scott reference you'll get. Today, we are going through some Sickie sick leave excuses / reasons. We've all chucked a Sickie for valid reasons, you know, but hypothetically, if we were to need to go to Sickie, for example, there's something on a day, you know, there's a concert maybe we want to go to, a flight we need to catch, or you know, maybe some games you want to play at home, and you got to chuck in some leave, make it a bit valid. What excuses are we using? You know, have any of us got in, called our boss? Sorry, mate, I've got X. What is X? What have we done, boys?
Yeah, this is just a story of a guy I know. Who,
a friend has told you.
A friend who's I've seen, you know, using this excuse. The way they use sick leave wasn't necessarily like, oh, because I'm going somewhere or because I'm doing X activity. Their idea was like, I have sick leave to use. I won't be paid out before I leave the company. So I need to use my sick days. And so they got into the habit of regularly calling in sick throughout the month. Every Monday, every Friday, a long weekend was coming up for my man. And he'd drop in the old, I'm feeling a little sick. You know, I don't think I need to rest up. Sorry, I'm not coming in today. It eventually got to a point after like 2 months.
2 months?
2 months. Honestly, which is quite a long time. That's like at least 10 sick days he was chucking sporadically across 2 months. Eventually it got to a point where the manager was like, look, I think perhaps it's better you take a week off and rest because you're calling in sick too much. And it's like, you're clearly, you know, you're not feeling well. Let's get you up to speed. So he was forced to take 1 week off because he kept calling in sick over 2 weeks because he kept using that same excuse. Like, oh, I'm feeling a little sick. And then eventually got to a point where I was like, well, if you're feeling a little sick every single week,
just please take all the time you need, really. Is what
Did you need to use sick leave for that week or annual leave?
I had to use annual leave for that. So the man got cooked, bro. And I'll tell you what, after that, he wasn't calling that regularly sick. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, because if this geezer is calling in sick every single Monday, so he's just giving himself a 4-day week. Obviously, the manager's not an idiot.
Yeah.
That's a power play from the manager.
Yeah, that actually is.
It's such a smart move. That's quality.
My brother, he's got a casual job at Maya currently.
Yeah.
And you know how like if you're working casual at a retail store, you can't take time off during December / January because like that's the busiest period where they need all hands on deck, right?
Yeah.
Well, my family and, you know, a couple of family friends had booked a little trip to Tasmania, as I alluded to. Suddenly, I was like, oh, what are you going to do? How are you going to call in sick or how are you going to get the time off? He's like, don't worry about it. I'm just going to say I have COVID. And then you get a week off easily. And COVID's making a resurgence. So that's always a classic of the genre.
COVID.
To your point, all right, around the you don't get paid out.
Yeah.
I had a guy who worked with me, a colleague, who was actively like applying to other jobs.
Right.
And like when you're applying to jobs and like doing the interview prep, it actually takes some time, like to actually sit and think and whatever, develop answers and practice and all this and that. So he would use his sick leave to prepare for interviews for other opportunities. So there's multiple reasons where you can call in sick.
You know, I did that one, Kush, when it's you got to use it up because you don't get paid. But I was already handed in my letter of resignation or already knew I was going to jump ship. So weeks leading up, I strategically planned, you know, once a week, once every 2 weeks, bang, sick leave.
Yeah, actually, thoughts on that. I've experienced this firsthand working in a team where it's like this person is leaving and so they're using their sick days out and now your team's getting dicked, right? Like there's so much work being thrown at you. This person's like, I'm leaving, I'm out of here. You know, I got to use my sick leave, which is, you know, fair enough.
No, you can't hate the player, bro. Yeah, the game's the game.
Hate the game.
Hate the game, you know?
Because let's be real, if you hand in your notice and you have, let's say you have 6 weeks, you tell me you're not going to use as much sick leave as you can in that 6 weeks.
No, that is true. I'm probably calling in COVID or like, what's the new disease that's out? The one starting with L?
There's another
Legionnaires.
Legionnaires. I'm calling myself
What the hell is
Legionnaires,
this?
bro. Yeah.
It's it was popular. It was big around New Year's,
It was
mate.
all the rage in New Year's.
Legionnaires. Kind of cool name. Anyways, fair enough. Look, but these are a bit, okay, you're just sending in, hey, I'm sick, I can't work today, right? But we want to know what the excuses are.
Yeah.
Like, are you saying, oh, you know, stomach's feeling really bad?
Yeah, that is true. Or
are you just putting in, I'm sick, I can't work?
I'm sort of like I'm sick. Like no one's going to press it further, especially if it's the 1 day. I think when it's the 2-3 days, it's like, all right, let's see that certificate now. Let's see what's happening with my guy. Come on, let's have a look. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but the best way to actually show that you're sick, but when you're not actually like got a flu or a cold. Have you guys heard about this?
Or show don't tell.
Yeah, no, quite literally, yeah.
This is a Sickie pro tip you're telling us.
It's a Sickie pro tip I'm telling you. So you lay down on your bed and your head should be hanging off the bed essentially. So it shouldn't be resting on anything.
Mm.
Stay there for a minute and then start calling. When you start calling, you'll sound congested because of the way your head's hanging off the bed. And so it makes it sound like that you're sick. And so if you ever do need to, do the phone call to someone, like for a casual job, often that's the case. Do that. And you know what? You sound a little bit congested all of a sudden.
You're playing 4D chess, brother. All you need to do really is when you make the phone call, you just chuck in it every now and then, or just like, and then, I'm sure that's all you need to show.
No, but it's too easy to pick up. If you're talking like this normally and you go, yeah, so like I'm sick. Hey, like you're sniffing cocaine, brother. It's not you're not cold.
You got to be good at selling it. That's the thing.
And honestly, it doesn't take that long. Just hang out for a minute on your bed. Done. So, a bit of acting on that part.
Fair play. We got some from the listeners. We asked the same question, and thank you to everyone that replied. We do have a lot of COVID. Someone said in COVID works every time.
COVID does work because I don't really know the rules anymore, like the isolation rules, but you throw in COVID.
Yeah.
Mate, hands are clean.
And you don't have to come into the office for another week. Like if you have anchor days, like you can come back after 3 days, right? COVID's all done, but then you don't have to come to the office the week after because you got to stay at home.
The problem is I work from home. And so actually, this is actually something that I found. I've worked from home for the last 2 companies that I've worked at.
Right.
And I rarely call in sick because there's no real need to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I have to commute. Like if I had to commute 5 days a week and I was feeling unwell, like genuinely unwell, it'd be like, oh, I have to get on the bus, travel an hour, work for 8 hours, travel an hour back on the bus and peak traffic. Like that is a nightmare. But because I work from home, like the threshold of me being sick to calling in sick, it's like completely like the disparity is huge.
That's a really good point. Like we were talking about this in the office as well. It was a question of like, because now you have anchor days. Some companies.
What the hell is anchor days, brother?
Well, you have to come in on like certain days per week, like Tuesday or Thursday. You have to.
Can't relate, Kush. Sorry, mate.
Yeah. Well, some offices like mine have that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're sick Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but let's say you're okay to work from home on Thursday, which is the anchor day, you lose that percentage of what you're meant to like come to the office, right? Because they're tracking. But you can still work. So what do? Do you just call in sick then? Like, if I'm not going to make the anchor day,
I may as well be sick.
Yeah.
I think if you have to commute, like, and you're feeling under the weather, like, just call it a day. But if you're working from home, you probably get through it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've seen some companies are like, if you're well enough to work, you're well enough to come into the office. So, for example, in that Thursday example, let's say Kush was sick Monday to Wednesday, but he's working Thursday. He'll have to go into the office.
That's pretty cooked though, because like maybe you still have the sniffles or you're still coughing.
Yeah, it's all black and white.
Yeah, no, so they'll be like, so you take a sick day because you're not well enough to come to the office. You're not well enough to work.
But
that's so dumb. Like there's obviously levels to it. Like if you're at home in the comfort of your own bed.
I'm well enough to work.
Yeah, you can like chuck a blanket over you, eat your medicines whenever you need, have some hot tea. Like,
and sometimes people have coughs that last for like 2 weeks, but like you don't actually have the flu symptoms that prevent you from working.
Exactly. You don't want to get other people sick. Anyways, whatever.
Yeah.
Give us some excuses. That's actually riled me up a little bit.
Just on that last bit, I'm on an ongoing battle with HR right now.
Oh, here we go.
Because during the shutdown period, I got COVID for a good week.
Yeah.
And then obviously I'm like, dude, I could use some sick leave here and use my annual leave for Japan trip coming up / other trips I might do. So I contacted HR. I'm like, look, I got COVID. What's the policies on, taking sick leave instead of my annual leave? Because if there was no shutdown, I would not have been well enough to work anyways. They hit me with that's fair enough, blah, blah, blah. Do you have a doctor's certificate to send in for the sick leave? And I'm like, look, you're not allowed to go to the doctor with COVID.
I'm isolated, brother. What do you want me to do?
Are you actually not?
No, like the
GP.
Yeah, generally the rule is if you have the sniffles and shit, do telehealth at least, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have rats at home and I've tested positive.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not going to the doctor. So I've sent in like, I don't have a certificate, right? I took a photo of my rat test on the day.
Convenient.
I got the metadata to prove that I took a photo on January 1st of a positive rat
Snapchat
test.
filter. You swipe right on, January the 8th.
Exactly, mate. Go on my photos, you swipe up, you can see all the photos. I took it from home, all that malarkey. So that's the last message I sent in, but I think obviously not going to get accepted. But what am I meant to do?
That's a good question, to be honest. I reckon that's rattled HR. They don't know the answer. They're unsure. I reckon.
I said, by medical advice, I did not go to the doctor.
He's quoting the laws of the medicine, bro.
I think you can get away with that because if you're on holidays, even if you are on holidays and you're sick, and you can change annual leave to sick leave. Mate, don't. I got a doctor for you that'll just write whatever you need him to write.
So if they get back to me and I need a certificate, I might hit you up, bro. But we've got other reasons here. A common one is gastro, food poisoning. That's the classic. You know, you don't need to look sick. You don't need to sound sick.
Yeah.
Something that you can't prove.
Especially after the weekend, you know? I went out, damn.
Yeah, the food was just not sitting well with me.
It's not sitting well with me. So.
I mean, this is the perfect crime, gastro, because like no one's going to press into it. No one's going to be like, send me a photo of the consistency of your stool.
Send me a photo of your stomach, please.
You know what I mean? Like if you say I have gastro or like I have diarrhea or to that effect, that's like a no questions asked. Who wants to inquire about your bowel
Diarrhea
habits?
is a good one.
That's gastro. That's essentially
But I think that's so well known now that I think if someone's calling with gastro, I know you're onto something, mate.
It's really obvious when someone's calling it sick when they're not actually sick. Like it always has been obvious. It's never not been. But like I think the excuses are just the way to just substantiate it, you know, like making it clear.
The next common
you don't go to the doctors with gastro, do you? Or do you?
No, you can. If you haven't.
You can, but I think it's another one. You can probably buy medicine over the counter. You don't really need medical advice.
Yeah.
Drink some water, kick back.
Chill at home as well. You're fine.
And this is the problem. Now, like, have you started to feel guilty about taking sick days off?
No.
No.
Like,
No,
I feel
really.
genuinely guilty because I just feel like, oh, okay. And let's say I had gastro and I use that as a legitimate excuse. I also know the perception that people just chuck in sick days and use gastro as an excuse.
Dude.
And now I'm like, oh, will they believe me? Like now I'm thinking, do they think that I'm just calling and chucking a sickie?
Nah, sometimes you do need a sick day. Sometimes a sick day is also a mental health day, you know? That's what I say. So
Fair enough. The next one, and I think this is also a common one, is saying your kid is sick.
Oh, this is, you know what? Bravo. Because this is the perfect crime, right? Because it's not you. You're one step removed. So
you're the carer in this.
You're the hero. And then, you know, and kids get sick all the time. You can just drop this as a, you know, drop of the hat.
Can I say, kids are sick every single fucking time. You walk down the street, you'll hear a kid coughing up a fur ball, dude. I'm telling you. So like when someone says, oh, my kid is feeling unwell, you know, they've been vomiting or they've got the cold, bro, you're the hero dad. You're Batman. Like you're saving them, dude.
And then also like, and who cares if the boss thinks your kid is just like a bit of an idiot who gets sick all the time. You know, you just chuck him under the bus. He's 4 years old.
Yeah. How are you going to control? What? It's a kid's immune system. You can't be saying
Can't do
shit like
anything
that.
about it.
Wow.
Exactly. The next one we have fake motorcycle accident.
What?
No. What?
What do you mean? That's so like specific. Like everyone has to know this guy drives a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You'd be out for like months, like weeks, definitely.
You can't call Jogger Sickie and say, I got into a motorcycle accident. Because then you got to show a photo of the mangled bike, you know. And if you're not like, if you don't have scars on you.
Especially because it's a motorcycle.
You know what I mean?
This is the sort of one that'll have follow-up questions for weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be like, how you going? How's your motorcycle? You know, they got to come with the whole story. Yeah, it's in the shop, blah, blah, blah.
And insurance, bro. How's the insurance?
And then like 2 weeks later, I'm going to ask you, dude, you get your motorcycle back? What, you're going to keep this facade up for like a month?
And then some guy will ask in the office 2 months later, oh man, I heard you got into a motorcycle accident. You're going to be like, oh shit, I got to get the story straight now. What did I say before?
No, and if you're in a motorcycle accident, like 8 times out of 10, you're probably dying, right? And the other 2 times you're having severe injuries. You know what I mean? Like there's literally no airbags, no nothing. You're just getting hit and then flying off. So where's the injury? This only works if you're wanting to take like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks off.
Yeah.
But at that point, you need proof. You need photos there.
Hospital selfies, bro.
To be fair, I think it's pretty easy. Like
What?
if you have access to like crutches or like a cast or one of those boots, you whip that mom and just be like, I can't. Getting a doctor's certificate is pretty easy, mind you, especially if you have family friends.
There's too much effort, dude. Just say, like, use the gastro example. Don't say my bike was mangled by a car.
Next one, got too high on brownies.
What? Calling in sick using that excuse?
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would not use this personally.
Yeah.
As in, like, that's the excuse. Sorry, I can't come in.
Yeah.
I'm too high.
I'd have to write in brackets, not my possession, so I don't get legally reported to the police.
No, but
man.
even if, like, you manage, this is the, sorry, I apologize to whoever wrote this, but that is not
This is dumb. This is straight up dumb.
It's
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
Next one, coughing up blood. I've got photos if needed.
It's a good one.
I had a friend who basically had like an image that he would just send across to his boss, got rid of the metadata, but he would just store it. And it was similar to this. Like essentially he would just have a video of him like showing his phlegm, and the phlegm had blood. And he would just take a little video and then he'd be like, oh, so sorry. Like I'm coughing up blood. I'm having some issues, and just shoot the video across and then just job done.
Fair enough. Last one we have for this sort of one. We got a few that tell us why they needed to take a sickie, which I think are pretty interesting. The next one is taking a religious holiday to go watch the test cricket because cricket is my religion.
A religious holiday.
Have you ever used the religious holiday excuse?
I have used it a couple of times, but it's like you can only use it on one day. So if cricket is your holiday, the timing has to be unreal to make sure there's also a religious holiday and the cricket's on.
Well, no. Well, do you have religious holiday exemptions? Like you just have like one floating day? Or for example, let's say you don't celebrate Easter or Christmas, but you sub in your whatever festival.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Like I think a lot of people do that. Like there's festivals everywhere, man. I've seen one who did the Seinfeld one, who like always say Festivus.
Oh my
And then
God.
they believe it, like because some people are just so dumb, and they're like, "Oh no, it's all right. It's your
Please,
religion."
Festivus.
Questioning
culture."
people's religious events is not really you can't go there.
Yeah, I don't think you can even question it. You can't take a step further.
There's a lot of things you can't question in this world.
Yeah.
That is 100% one of them.
All right, next one. We have someone sent in. They said they had a migraine so they could go to Epicurean during the weekday for lunch because it's cheaper than weekends.
Look, I've been to the Epicurean buffet. I will say that is an excellent buffet. So if you have to call in sick to get it cheaper, fair play to you.
Migraine's a good one as well because
Hard to prove.
better than a headache as well. Just adds a little bit of flavor to it, All right, fine,
Yeah.
all right, yeah.
One step above the headache. But the problem is, right? Like, you can't. I don't like chucking sickies and going to public places, to be honest, because there's just a heavy risk. You just feel stressed. Like, do you not feel stressed when you chuck a sickie?
Well, if you're close by to the office and you're, the actual physical office and you call in sick and you're doing something, extra, there's a bit of risk. But if you're going somewhere else, like if you work in the city and you're going to Gosford, I don't know, wherever you're going, completely fine. It's not like you have to social media present yourself, right?
But the thing is, like when you're at the Epicurean, that's in the CBD.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but everyone's working.
Yeah,
They're not at the Crown.
But then you also can't like chuck Instagram, like you can't post it on social media. Like there's like people chuck sickies to go watch the cricket or the tennis or something like that, and they just get like caught on the cam, and then you just see them, put their face up and want to look incognito. Like I think there's a lot of stress when you chuck a sickie to do an event that is in the vicinity of your actual building.
We got someone that said not the worst, but most shameful is a sickie after a night out with the team. You say, let's say Thursday night, you have big drinks after work, and Thursday, are you chucking in a sickie?
Dude, I've heard of this story as well, where because I used to work in customer support, there was a big New Year's Eve party, and the whole work group was there, and they all had work the next day. Customer support. The guy went up to his manager and was like, because they all had the party, and was like, "Yeah, look, I'm not feeling too well. I don't think I'll be able to work." And the manager's like, "What the fuck? We went to the same event. I'm working." Like, no, you're not going to be able to call in sick.
Yeah, but you just went way harder than the manager did,
Exactly, man. What's your BAC, man? What's your blood alcohol content?
That look, he doesn't even sound like an excuse. That is shameful. Obviously, it's shameful because everyone knows what's happened.
Yeah.
I don't have the balls to do it. Regardless of how I feel, I don't think I could do it.
Nah.
No way, dude. No
Especially
way.
like if you know that other members of the team are coming in, you have to just suck it up.
Yeah.
Because that's not really sick. That's just like hungover sick, which is like, I'm feeling bad.
Yeah.
But you can firm it.
Yeah.
Right, last one. We have someone sent in. They're based in Sydney. They're in Melbourne for the F1 and they did the classic I got COVID. I think that goes back to your case, bro. You're at the F1.
Yeah.
You're dodging the cameras.
Yeah, F1 is fine because
Camera's not going to pick you up, bro.
there's no cameras on you. Like,
Unless you're at the PGA Tour, they're zooming in and picking you up, man.
yeah. I think because F1, you just focus on the cars. They're not really doing like crowd interactions.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know.
Unless your manager's going frame by frame.
But is it also hard if your manager knows you're a big F1 fan and all of a sudden you're sick on F1 weekend?
Well, that's if you've sort of laid the groundwork, like, oh, I'm so excited for this event. And then you call in sick. Obvious.
Or throughout the year, they know you're keeping track of all the F1 events, and then all of a sudden, it's nearby. You're sick.
Any managers like that is going to
like you're a big tennis fan, and all of a sudden, Australian Open, you're sick for 2 days.
That's what happened with our friend. Like she told her boss that she was going to the tennis, and then while everyone else gallivanted on the Friday and work and had a good time, she felt like she couldn't chuck a sickie because she had told her manager that she was going to be at the tennis.
That's just a stupid move. Why would you do that? You got to keep quiet. And then you chuck in the old, I've got COVID.
Yeah, no, she actually was dumb about this as well because her manager wasn't like, oh, what are you doing for the weekend? And then she said, oh, okay, I'm going to Melbourne.
Yeah.
She volunteered the information.
Oh,
She's like, I can't wait to go to the tennis. Like apparently the boss was also going. And then she was like, oh, I'm going as well.
Silliness behavior, bro.
Silliness. Yeah, and we were at the tennis on Friday on that. And then a bunch of people were so worried, dude. Like,
because they chuck sickies, right?
Yeah, like, oh, I can't get on. Exactly. I can't get on the cameras, hide me. Or like, fuck, I saw someone from my work. Didn't say hi. I hope they didn't see me. Like, relax, man.
I think like, obviously like your colleagues don't care. But I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I actually feel very stressed. Like, I remember like in my previous role, I chucked sickies like every now and then to just like do errands. Like, for example, I was helping like my partner move up to Gosford. So I was like, I just chucked a sickie that time. And I went up and helped her move, right?
Yeah.
I feel like proper anxiety that I'm going to get spotted.
What, helping your partner move?
No. But
your manager's just like...
No, not that. It's just like you just like, you never know because you just bump into people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
fair.
Because there's been times where like I've been on holidays and I've bumped into work colleagues at just random places.
That is true.
Like, for example, I was in Byron Bay and I bumped into one of my colleagues. And I was like, oh, what are you doing here? So, I just have that memory in my head and I'm like, dude, there are snitches everywhere. Yeah. There are shooters out to get you.
Just very quickly, I know another classic one where you can't press. Family emergency. Got a family emergency. Oh, I won't be able to make it in today. That's another one where you can't really press. Like, what's the emergency?
Yeah, because you're not obligated to tell such personal details.
Yeah. That's another good one. It's like COVID and like calling in sick. It's another, like you have variations of the same one here, which you can use. So if you want to call in sick every Monday, Tuesday.
You can't do it every week. It can't be a routine.
You can't do it like every Monday. But you want to call in sick 3 times a month? Over 3 months, you have lots of variations you can use. Family emergencies, gastro, chuck in the COVID, chuck in the food poisoning, chuck in the migraine. That's 5 already. You're settled. Don't you worry.
Things, have you used family emergencies too many times, then I don't know. I feel like your manager just thinks you have a dysfunctional family.
No, that's just another one where you can only use it once over like a rolling 3-month period. Then I think it resets. That you can use it in the next.
Is anything off limits? Like grandma's passed away.
That's pretty fucked. I don't know.
Isn't that a thing whenever you start a new job, you're 4 grandparents again?
Like, is there a line? Like,
I'm not saying someone's
I personally wouldn't use that.
No
like
way.
Family emergency, I think that's a bit too far.
No, I think that's okay because no one needs to know what the emergency is.
It's also vague enough.
Yeah, the moment you specify it, like death or like sickness maybe, then I think that's where it gets a little bit dicey.
Okay, what about we go back to that using your kid as a little scapegoat?
No, that's class. No one's going to comment on a kid though. That's the thing. Like a kid just do get sick when up to like 3-4 years old.
Would you feel bad about using your child as an excuse?
Nah, bro.
They got the sniffles. You got to pick them up from school.
That kid's a legend, man. The amount of times I've seen on Google Calendars commute to pick up, I'm like, yeah. Yeah, it does take an hour and a half, does it, to get to fucking Gosford Primary School?
To get to daycare, does it?
Yeah, interesting.
Cool. Those are some that got sent in. Thank you to everyone else who sent in yours. Stay tuned on the Instagram when we put up our next little question and you can feature on the next episode.